So, welcome everyone to the second session of Lighting Up Our Shadows. And before we start the second session, just step back for a few moments of silence. Indeed. Welcome everyone and greetings. So the title of the next session is Kiss the Frog. So for those of you that are familiar with fairy tales, then the title is largely self-evident, but I'm sure Monica will be happy to oblige if you want. Okay, so over to you, Monica. Enjoy the session, everyone, and I hope you benefit from it.
Thank you, James, and thank you so much, everyone, for being present today. So, we have heard one session so far, Alokda's session. And in general, also, we may have our own definitions or understandings about what is a shadow as a human being. How do we perceive what are our shadows? So, would anyone like to share those understandings? Because I think that would be a nice ground to start with. So what do we consider as a shadow, and what to do about it? Whatever is coming to your mind. Not all of us have to share. Whoever wants to share something is coming to you, then please go ahead and
I would say it's a light within me that ignores itself, but it exists and maybe still subconscious. And but it's all one. It's all the same actually, because maybe it doesn't truly exist in the divine. That's how I see.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. Anyone else would like to add on or share their own understanding of a shadow as a human being? What do we mean by shadows? And since you have registered for the workshop, yes, Prasadji, yes.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm just traveling probably. So I think the session yesterday was really very instructive and informative. And then, we create our own shadows and nobody else does. In fact, since we are not aware of our own light that we live in, we count more of our shadows than our light. That's a misfortune that befalls on human beings. So I think to live in the light, to experience it, to feel it, and then to be a part of the light should be the course of the life, one's life's journey. And when it comes to the your own shadows, not that there are no shadows, shadows are there, but how do you understand them? How do you acknowledge them? And what do you do to actually, put the shadow into the form of light? That is a journey.
Thank you, Prasadji. Yeah, anyone else? So please mute yourself if you are not speaking, because that creates an echo. Yeah. So whoever wants to speak, please unmute and then share. Anybody else wants to add on? I'm sure more of us have an understanding of the shadow, because that's why we have registered for the workshop. Otherwise, we won't. So come on. Yeah.
Yes, good morning.
Um,
To me, the shadow is the part of me that has difficulty. Yes, that I haven't fully embraced. Something about me that I haven't seen in its full light. Something that is, the parts that cause me trouble.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, that helps. Anybody else wants to share? Okay, no one. So let's take that as a base. And I think that's a very good base, because yes, as NAMAH said towards the end, that it's something which I don't know how to deal with, right? Not fully in light, as one of you said, right? So it's like, for example, a child does something, and that something is not what I would want the child to do, and I become angry, right? And maybe I slap the child or whatever, do something which I regret later. So it's something, something that I don't know how to deal with. So I feel that, as I think it's all rightly said by NAMAH, that it's something which I have troubles getting to understand fully. And I think that's such a nice base to start with, because first of all, you are admitting that I don't understand fully. And that's a very good base, because that is a humble base. You are on the ground and you are open and receptive to understand. Right? And I think how beautiful that the whole universe as if lies in this body, in this being that we are. Because the more we understand our own difficult points, the more empathetic we become towards other people's points, because now we have seen it in ourselves also. And everybody, each human being is again a mixed permutation and combination of similar kind of shadows and lights and everything, right? It's like a collective in individual bodies. So it's very interesting, and that's why, as James said rightly, that the topic is taken from one of these fairy tales, Kiss the Frog. It just came to me and I used it. It was a little weird topic to take, but I took it nevertheless, because it's just that the more closer I go to something which I call a shadow, the more I'm able to understand it. And then it doesn't remain that frog anymore. It transforms into a prince. As Kate was sharing earlier, that it has light, but I can't see it. It's something which gives an appearance of a darkness, but somewhere we know that no, it's actually not its true appearance. Right? Like in Savitri, we see Savitri coming, rendezvous with death. And then she recognizes that I know you appear very dark, but I know you are not dark. There is something more to you. So like that, I think shadows are bound to be there. Why? Because this world, as all of us, I'm sure, are aware of the story of creation by the mother, where she shares that everything turned into its opposite. So bliss, one of the powers which was, given out to create the creation, it turned, poor fellow, it turned into its opposite in suffering. So I can say that, okay, suffering is a kind of a dark part. We don't want it in our lives, but it exists. Exists mean that we face suffering. We face mortality. We face falsehood. It's part and parcel of our life right now. But something in our being knows that this can't be it. There is something more to life than that. What is it? What is it that I'm missing? And I think this is amazing because this knowing is there in each one of us, that this is not the end of the story. There is something more to come. Like, if imagine like a movie running and the movie ends like abruptly. And we are not satisfied. We want that, no, there is something more to it. Maybe they lived happily ever after. Because as mother says that when children feel that no, there is more to the story and they should live happily ever after, and there is something in that child's mind which is actually true, which is taking us to life divine. There is a life divine which can exist if we try, right? So I think these hopes are not false hopes that we have, that the story does not end here. We have not just understood the problem correctly, as Albert Einstein would say. He says the problem cannot be solved with the same mind that created the problem. Right? So if there is some darkness that I see within, and that darkness again is related to something which I'm not able to deal with in a refined way, in a pure way. You all would have seen, and I'm sure we are in our 30s, 40s, maybe higher, we know that the more we understand with our experiences of life, we actually begin to deal with things in a better way. It happens. Although we want to do much better, and that's our striving towards the divine or perfection, but the more we go closer to an issue, the more we are able to see that, no, I don't have to be afraid of it. So what do we call shadows? Let's see. We can call fear a shadow. We can call insecurities, all the negative qualities that we have, not qualities, but the negative, disturbing emotions or negative thoughts, negative impulses. And why do we call negative? We call them negative because they are not part of our inherent true nature. It's like you have a utensil and that utensil is greasy. It's not rightly, it can't be rightly used right now. But we all know that if we scrub the utensil well with maybe hot water, some detergent or whatever we can use, we know that it can shine, and no matter how much of fungus it may be on that utensil, it can get cleaned and we can reuse that utensil. So people have said, masters have said, that all our stains, so-called shadows, which are bound to be there since everything turned to its opposite, bliss turns to suffering, truth to falsehood, and everything has its opposite. So shadows are bound to be there. That's the design of the creation. And that's why we can progress, because there are shadows. That's why progress can be, because we transcend one shadow, then that's progress, right? So that's the design of the creation. That's what I feel, it's a design. Now, the thing that we have to do is that these negative qualities or negative stains, they are not true to my nature, because I know they are disturbing or negative. And see how they are named. We name that disturbing emotions. We name them negative emotions. Why? Because they are not part of our true being. It's something that comes from outside, adventitious, they call it. So the moment we start to work on it, go closer, get a scrub, take some detergent, take some hot water, scrub. And who will scrub the utensil? The one who really wants to use it well and who knows that the stains are adventitious. They are only on the top. That requires a lot of love. That requires a lot of love. That's why Mother says, love is the only power of transformation. Only love can transform. So we have to be very, very kind first to ourselves when we are working on these things. And then secondly to other people, because they are also knowingly, unknowingly trying their best. And just like my stains are adventitious, they are on the top, true nature is not stained. Other people also have inherent goodness within. And it's only on the top, that appearance that it gives, that it's stained, it's dirty. So when we gather enough courage, enough love, and slowly it happens. I think it happens over time. We can't help it. It just happens. You may not want it, but it happens that you become courageous enough to be wanting to go closer and closer to your shadows, to your darknesses within, to some things that you don't understand within your being. You are bound, you are compelled to go closer, 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 like a scientist. And then when you go closer, as Albert Einstein was sharing, that the problem cannot be fixed by the same mind that created the problem, then you have a different mind, you have a different view, different angle to the problem once you go closer. So in Upanishads, they have this story where from far off, it appears like a snake. But when we go closer, 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 we see, oh, I didn't have to worry about it that much. It was just a rope. So I think that's where we can connect, that anything that appears scary on the surface, if it's appearing scary, it means I've not gone close enough. Same with like we were sharing, children, sometimes children are naughty. And then we become even more naughtier in the sense that we have all the disturbing impulses coming out at them because we don't know how to deal with that child. But a person who has, say, worked with children enough and has an understanding of children, we will see that he is able to deal with that child in a much, much refiner way. So where was the issue? Was there ever an issue? It's just that he approached the problem in a loving and in a manner that knew that, yes, something can be done about this situation. It's just that we have to approach it from a different angle. While I gave up and I shouted at the child, or at the naughtiness, and I didn't know what to do with that energy that child had, right? So it's just, I think we can go round and round about this, that it's just a matter of going close enough, going close enough, going close enough. Even with the people in our life who we feel that they are difficult people in my life, we haven't understood them enough. And it takes a lot of courage and love on our part. Really a lot. Patience, courage, love, to be able to go and close enough, of course, doesn't mean that you are, physically close to that person. Don't, misunderstand me. It's like, the more we understand our own self, the more I can go closer to that person. So I think it's a failure on my part. If I'm not understanding a person or a situation, it's a failure. That it means that if I am more closer and intimate to my own being and the movements of the being, it's actually not possible that I don't understand why the other person is behaving in such manner. As Aurobindo shares, my failure, my enemy's failure is my own disrepute, something like that. Yeah. So what do we have here until now? Anything that is coming? I'll take frequent pauses because things develop within, and one may have question or comments to share. So share. And if something is not clear what I have said, that also you can point out that no, this doesn't resonate. Okay.
Certain negativity is not an inherent nature. That I definitely agree with you, because we have all borrowed them or cultured them into our own way of life. Probably we have invited them knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, and we are paying heavy price for it.
Yes, yes, yes. So what happens is that, see, in our tradition also, in other traditions also, we believe that we have been incarnating for innumerable number of times. We have had enough births, enough lifetimes. And what happens is that we accumulate tendencies. And what do I call a shadow? I call it a shadow when I know it's not benefiting me. It's increasing the trouble in my life. That's when we call it a shadow, right? It's making me more burdensome. So there are tendencies in us from our previous lifetimes, from the childhood. We may have some survival mechanisms during the childhood, which right now I don't need actually, but I'm still carrying them. So if I'm not conscious, then without that consciousness of that tendency, I keep on behaving in a default mode, which I'm carrying from my childhood. At that point of time, it was very essential for me. It saved me. But right now, it is not necessary. I am an adult. But I'm still acting the same way. And now it is increasing my trouble in my interaction with people. So I can call it now a shadow. And it means that now it's time for it to go. It has done its work. It's like it's looking out of place. It's not fitting in my being anymore. And I think that's a very good signal, because that means that you have progressed. I have progressed. If I have progressed, then only I see that, oh, no, this is not right. This I needed 10 years ago, but now, I can give it away, or maybe somebody else can use it. So it's like, and this is the light. So along with the darkness and the shadow, what is given to us is also this light which knows, which we call the light of knowing, or the light of consciousness. And that is why there is hope. Because it is this light which is going to transform. It comes hand in hand with love. It's like the other face of this light is love. So the more I'm conscious about a tendency, which now is ready to go, it cannot stand now anymore. It will wither away. So what I have to do is, again, as coming back to it, going closer, keeping all my fears and insecurities when I'm going closer in my pocket. We don't have to throw away our fears. They will be there. I will feel very afraid. I don't know how to deal with it, whether I will be able to, sort it out or not. I'm going closer. So we can keep all the insecurities and fears in the pocket while we are doing this. Like if you are bungee jumping or doing something for the first time, maybe diving into the swimming pool very deep for you for the first time. We all have fears. We keep it in the pocket and yet make the dive after proper training. So what we have to do is, with this light, we know that this tool we have, the light of consciousness, which can see, the witness, the knowing, which is always seeing my thoughts, my feelings, which knows what is dark, what is light, what is gray. This discernment also comes naturally to it. So with this light, we will solve all the things that will come on the way. Because in light, nothing can hide its appearance. It will come to picture. The true picture will be revealed. The only thing is that I have to stay as consciousness. Who am I? I am not the fear that I am seeing. I am the consciousness that sees the fear. I am not the negative thought I am seeing. I am the consciousness. I am the knowing that knows that this is there. Right? And that is why we can then pluck it out. And mother at times, in some anecdotes, she says that you pluck it out of your consciousness like that. What can you pluck out? Only that which is not inherent to you, right? So you see it, you pluck it out, and you throw it far away, never to return back. It's just a matter of knowing that, okay, now this is not suiting my being. It's creating a little bit of unease in me, when it is there. It will begin to create an unease. Whenever you will act out of a dictate of a shadow or a poisonous thing in your being, you will feel uneasy. And I'm sure all of us are there, that we will begin to feel uneasy. It will feel burdensome. And then we will know, okay, it's time now for it to, I have to let it go. And when we will be letting it go, then also what will happen? We will have a little bit of pain, maybe more. Why? Because it's like a skin. And when you are peeling off one skin, what happens? It hurts. But it's only the superficial skin which now has kind of half withered away. So at times it happens, and it will happen. That's why we say it requires an Aryan spirit to be, on this path, because you will have to endure a lot of pain. So endure. But then there is joy also, the joy of purification. You will feel more purified in the being. So it's like the reward comes along with your practice immediately. And the moment you abandon a dictate of a shadow, you immediately feel the lightness. Notice it. And that tells us that I've taken the right course. You immediately feel the right lightness. Say, I'm used to getting disappointed. I'm a moody person. And when somebody says something, so suddenly I see this dark cloud rising in me, and the mood trying to overwhelm me. But I see the mood coming. What I do is, in that seeing of the mood coming, I immediately kind of throw it out of my conscious. I don't follow its dictates. And I feel light. I am a changed person immediately. So it requires, because then I'm not wanting anything. See, whenever we are moody, we are wanting something from somebody. So I will have to be relatively desireless from this world if I am to throw away the dark mood that is coming up. Because then I am a nobody. Happy to be nobody, then we can go ahead. Like that. Because if the world is constantly holding promises for me, then I will also play my drama. Mood is one of those dramas. I catch the shadow and I follow the dictate. That's what a mood is. But the moment I see it rising and I don't catch it because I don't want any trouble in my being now, then I can pluck it out and immediately have a reversal. Yes, Prachi, you wanted to share something?
Yeah. Hi, Monica. Nice to be in a session with you after a couple of years, I think. So I just wanted to share, I don't know if I have a question yet. Sometimes I think the point is, do I really want a cleaner utensil? Sometimes when I see a blemish, it evokes a sense of righteousness or ego, entitlement, almost like a Duryodhana in me, that, oh, this is what it is, take it or leave it. Sometimes, yeah, I might go in a reflective mood and want to inspect it, take a look at it. And I think it's like, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know on the things on which the light hasn't fallen yet. And that's where I think, and sometimes I feel I would take it to is everything that I see needs to be worked on? I mean, then there is no end to it. So I think there is always an overwhelm, or it's like oscillating between these various states. And, that has been sometimes a confusing part for me. Yeah, that's what I wanted to
So you
bring
mean
up.
to say that there is so much to do that I don't know where to start from?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, I think it's not that complicated. If you know that this world cannot give me anything, this beggar world in which each person is begging for something cannot give me anything lasting. If I know that, and not in theory, if my experiences have put it in my blood, and for that you may have suffered a lot, because that conviction requires suffering in the past, right?
Yeah.
If you have suffered enough, and if you have known through your experiences that this beggar world where each person is full of lack, wanting, not only me, and I'm part of that begging game because I'm also begging all the time, right? So
Yeah.
this world of material existence, which is fleeting, it's like a marsh, it's like a swamp. You can't put your tent there. Means you can't get anything lasting from this world, no matter how beautiful. If I am convinced about this through my own experiences, I think then then can the journey of clarifying the being of impurities can actually start. Not before that, because before that, all these what we call it as shadows, these are just my dramas in order to get importance from the world.
Mm.
Yes. And slowly, when we get convinced that I've done enough dramas and tortured myself and others enough, then we are just tired of it and we say no.
Mm.
Then next time something is coming, I will not say that, okay, leave it or clean, this is what I am. Because then now there is a inner aspiration for a purified being. Because you want to be one drop of poison less in this universe, not one more. So get convinced. This is what I say almost in every session, that please get convinced that the world, and through your own experiences, get convinced that this beggar world cannot give us anything. And I'm not meaning in a derogatory way. This is how it is.
Yeah.
The design. The design is that each one of us feels full of lack. And we want to fulfill ourselves through this or that or that or that. Right? But we are unable to, because ego can never get fulfilled. Ego is a mirage.
Mm.
Ego is a mirage. You can't ever fulfill a mirage because it's not existing. It's not there. What am I trying to fulfill?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this limited entity, I think myself to be, I am not. Because as long as I believe in that limited entity as me, it is impossible that I don't crave for this or that from the world. And the more I crave for this or that from the world, the more shadows will be there. Shadow is a byproduct of the ego consciousness, no?
Mm.
My identification with the ego consciousness, with the limited self that I am, brings more and more and more in picture, which is shadow. So whenever I see some darkness, you can see it's the play of the ego. I think it's pretty clear, at least that's what I feel.
Mm.
What I call a shadow is play of my ego, drama of my ego. And the ego is again now wanting some maybe love or appreciation or something from this
Yeah.
person. So the thing comes up, I can't take it, and I throw, like, it's like you vomit out a shadow. Funny visual. No? Yeah. So we have to stop identifying as this limited self, which we are not. We are this consciousness which knows everything. We are this knowing which knows right now I'm not in a very happy mood, but I know that this mood is over me. So that knowing is me. I am
Yeah.
not the mood. I am the knowing. So the more and more I identify as that consciousness, and less identification with the thoughts, with the feelings, with the drama and the storylines, the more you step back from your false self, which is the ego self, and the less you have the need of uh, looking at shadows, because then they slowly gradually disappear. But for this to happen, I need to be fully convinced. That's why mother says never depend on anyone in this world, because nobody can give you anything. So आप अपना तंबू वहां नहीं गाड़ सकते. You can't pitch your tent in that swampy area. It will always be shaky ground. So become very comfortable with groundlessness. Become very comfortable with disappointments. They're bound to happen. So become very comfortable. Like, oh, disappointment, welcome home. Like a friend coming home. This is part of life. And slowly, then we transcend the disappointment, because we are not wanting anything from the world or the person. I know, and I'll just share an anecdote, maybe that makes it clear. So two friends were playing a game, and they had started learning a new game recently. I think only like say 10 days ago they started, and they're having a few sessions and now trying to learn a new game. One of the persons who comes to that community, like a big uncle kind of a person, he comes and he says that, oh, you are playing better and you not playing better, something like that. He makes a comment. Now it's very interesting that that was not actually the case, what that person commented, because there was other witnesses also there. But what he said that, oh, you play better and but you don't play better, it was not the case. It was his perception of the situation, which he took for surety that no, what I am seeing is right. This is how it is. So thankfully, one of the fellows on whom he commented was a spiritual seeker and was working on himself. And he knew that I don't have to take this opinion very seriously, because we make opinions just like that. They don't have any base. And immediately that person was one of the players was getting disappointment. Immediately he became okay. Why? Because he knew that I don't have to take that judgment seriously. I am doing what I am doing, right? So see, we are not seeing things clearly. So become very unsure of your thoughts. We don't see things clearly. And that's why we can go closer to things, because the perception it is giving you is not the right perception. It is looking like a snake, but it's not a snake. Why? How do I know? Because I know I don't see things clearly. So let me go closer. Let me go closer. So slowly, what I wanted to say is that slowly an understanding of our being. And as I said, that one of the players was a seeker on the path, and that's why he could understand that I don't have to take that opinion seriously, because even my opinions, what stand they have nothing. I keep on changing my opinions about people, about situations. So how can I take others' opinions so seriously? So half of the problem gets solved there, because most of our troubles come from what the other person thinks about me, or imagines about me, or said to me. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows what they are doing, really. So see where it is coming from. If Sri Aurobindo said something, mother said something, then of course I have to take it seriously. But we all are, blinded beings, and whom to take seriously and whom not to. So slowly, as we understand these things, I think then there is I would say, kind of a aspiration in the being that, yeah, how much of suffering each one is suffering. I don't want to be one drop more of this suffering. Then you can kiss the frog. You go closer and closer to your own being, your own darknesses, and you see that actually they are not what they appear to be. They are actually not. Anger, they say, anger is a distorted energy of wisdom. See how it appears to be so ruthless, cruel, and they say that it's distorted energy of wisdom. But how do I know that it's a distorted energy? For that, I will have to look at anger coming when it is coming to me, and not act out of anger. Because if I keep acting out of anger, then I have no time to understand it. So what do I mean by going closer? I think now we can talk about that. Going closer is also going closer in your mind, how your mind works, what kind of thoughts come when something happens in your life, and looking at them like a witness. Okay, these are the streams of thoughts that come when this thing happens. And going closer is also going closer to the sensations in the body. What kind of sensations anger is bringing? Where do I feel constricted? How long does the sensation stay if I don't act out of it? Let me see. Like that. And for that to happen, you will have to really slow down a little. And slowing down, again, like a flow chart, slowing down would require that you don't want anything from this world anymore, because it can't give you that. Only then you can slow down. Otherwise, we can't slow down. So a child comes and he's tantrumy and he's crying. You just hold him in your embrace. Don't do anything. You didn't do anything. You didn't say, when will you go away, or your time of your class is happening. Nothing doing. The child comes, he's cranky, he's crying. You have him in your embrace. He can sit in your lap as long as he wants. And you see, oh, this too passes. And suddenly he feels fine again, happy again, and goes away without saying a word. So we have to hold in our embrace all our shadows. They are wanting to be embraced. Poor fellows don't like to be disliked. So we have to rise. Here we can come to what Aurobindo says. We have to rise above our likes and dislikes. If I dislike something in my being, how will I go closer and hold it in my embrace? And how would I understand what its true form is? So this embracing of all the little things of our being also brings us closer to our true consciousness. Because who can embrace? Only a vast open space can embrace. Vast open space which never says no. Either a snake is coming into its domain. Vast open space. Maybe drain water is coming, filthy water is coming. It never says no. And the space remains untouched by all that which is coming and going. So we are that space of consciousness which is untouched by our shadows. Shadows and lights are like a play happening on a movie screen. And that movie screen is me, my consciousness. But this does not help. This session doesn't help. Why? Because in theory, if I am consciousness, doesn't help. So many books have been written on it, right? In practice, in everyday life, I have to become consciousness itself. Not become in the sense like identify as consciousness. And then no shadow, no overpowering emotion has a hold over me. But again, I have to link it to the other thing that we discussed, that can just happen when the world does not hold promises for me. Otherwise, it cannot happen. I can't be staying as consciousness if there is something I have to rush to, because my name or respect or something is at stake. So if you can kiss one frog, then even billions of them you can kiss. You become capable of loving. So if we can kiss our own self, we can go closer to our own self, then we actually open up our hearts to so many. And this loving is, of course, not in the sense of going closer to anyone, like feeling the pain what they go through, and feeling also their progress and joy and their collective sufferings and sharing, their pain points and their not so pain points. Now you know. Because you yourself have expanded in your being. You are not that little ego consciousness. You have been, and now you know the pain of being the ego consciousness. So that's the good thing. Now you know the pain of being the ego consciousness. And it's not there. It's actually not there. It's like a mirage. Ego is like a mirage. So there is no fight possible with ego. It's only understanding possible. That's why they say self-realization, that you realize that, you were thinking something else, but it was not that. Yeah. So I think that is coming to me right now. And to me, it appears that it's sufficient an amount of work to be done in this life, even if we consider these points that have been discussed. And of course, there is always space for more, 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 more. But then we have to practice whatever little resonates with us. That, okay, this is enough for purification of my being right now. Let me work with this. So, stick to one little practice, at least for some time, as we were sharing in the other workshop, that don't keep on changing your instruments when you are trying to learn an instrument. Today I pick up ukulele, next day I pick up piano, not like that. It won't work. I have to stick to at least one or two, whatever I'm learning, and give it time, give it time. And in the beginning, my fingers don't go smoothly. Fine, because that's the process. You will, do so many, if you're playing something, you will make so many mistakes. It's part of the process because we are not attuned yet. The body is not attuned yet to the new stance that you are playing, to the new note that you are playing. The fingers are not attuned to holding the strings. So always takes time, always. So patience, again, one of the cornerstones, because we have to be very kind and patient to ourselves. This is the way, and the more kinder and patient I am to myself, actually, the more space and freedom I can give to other people around me, because I know it's difficult. Like that. Yeah, so questions, comments, anyone? So again, this visualization really helps, that if we, and this Buddhist teachers have also, and other teachers also, take this visualization of imagining yourself as space. So they liken consciousness as space. Like, see, all of us are sitting in our own spaces, in our own houses, which have walls. But imagine that suddenly some destructive force comes and it sweeps away all the walls of our houses. We see that that space was one continuity forever. The space was not distinguished or, demarcated. It was just like my boundary that I made, which made it appear like it's a different space. So they say that consciousness is like that. What is looking at a thought in you is also looking at a thought in me. Your ears are taking in these words, but what is conscious of those words is also the same consciousness that I have in me. So everywhere it's like vast, vast spread of consciousness. So the more we identify as that consciousness again and again, now this has to become a practice, then we can deal and understand our things well, things of the being well, contents of the consciousness well. Because then I'm not afraid, because you are greater than what you see, right? You are the space in which that thing is happening. So what is to be afraid of? And nothing can touch you. Again, we have to remind that all these stains are adventitious stains. They don't leave a mark. Angulimal, I think some of us may remember, killed 999 people, ready to kill the last one that he planned. And Buddha says, now stop. And he changes and becomes an arhat in one lifetime. All the stains gone. 999 murders. So all these things, however ugly, and they are ugly, they are not our inherent nature, and I am not stained by that. We all have inherent goodness. So have a belief, have a faith in inherent goodness. Even in the vilest Alipur jail diaries, Sri Aurobindo, prison tales, how he's able to see then Krishna in and goodness, inherent goodness in even the worst of the criminals. It's just that out of our conditioning or whatever, we don't get a chance. So we have to give ourselves a chance to have abundance in our life and let go of impurities. And that's why slowly, that's how we move towards life divine. Slowly, process of purification. And that's how we can help others. The more we help ourselves, the more we help others. Whether with a spoken word or without a spoken word, doesn't matter. And Mother says that even one person who is working on his desire, you step back from desire and you think that you were in your four walls, nothing really socially you did, no charity, but you don't even know what kind of charity you have done. You have created a ripple now in that collective consciousness of that stepping back from desire. It's really amazing and so powerful. And it means that if I follow the dictates of these shadows, then also I am creating ripples. I'm adding more drops of poison, poor fellows. So what do we want to do with this life? How do we want to utilize this precious human birth that we have? Adding more drops of poison, which already are enough, or stepping back from the poison so that I can do my little bit. No matter how much not recognized that little bit is. No, some people change themselves and books are written on them. Some people change themselves and nobody remembers them, nobody knows their name. How does it matter? Divine sees it all. And you feel the lightness, no? Immediately you feel the lightness. You feel that, yes, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. That's your biggest reward. The fullness that you feel in yourself, not the lack. So that's our prince. We kiss the frog and the prince is the lightness that we get in the being. The goodness that we feel in the being. The more and more abundance that we feel in the being is our prince. I think that's a good place to end. Coming to the prince from the frog. Yeah. So, any last comments? James, I should get a bonus for finishing 8 minutes early. And not increasing in my speaking time. Yeah. So I'm done. I'm done from my side. If there are any last comments we can make.
Does anyone have any comments they want to make?
What's that, Kate? Oh, yeah. Can you unmute, please? We are able to see but can't hear you.
Yeah, it's a painting which I love from the Himalayan Art Academy. And it's based from what Aurobindo said, that he sees Krishna, he saw Krishna in the Jainilapuri jail, in everyone. Every time I have a problem with someone, I'm contemplating this for hours sometimes. It's not always easy, but in everything, there is Krishna, is absolutely everything. And, it's what you said, actually, it helps. It helps me.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. All right. Great then. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your receptivity, willingness, and thank you, James.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you, Monica.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, thank you, James.
Thank
And,
you.
until tomorrow,
Yeah.
Bye.
namaste to you all. Mother's blessings. Have a good day.
Thank you
Good evening.
too.
Thank you.
All
Thank
the
you.
best.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.